I just want to explain something real quick. I'm watching someone else's video, and I hope I may cover up some of their titling and stuff. I hope they don't mind me using this for my own example. But this cop is explaining something that priorly happened in this video. They was just driving around. They really wasn't screaming. They was talking amongst each other pretty loud inside of the van that they have. And the cop was parked off in a corner, and they slowed down or whatever, and was just talking like, there he is wasting taxpayers' dollars, and they wasn't shouting like screaming loud. Now, a little bit of yelling inside the car. Yeah, I wasn't there, so I couldn't tell how loud it was, but the cop was parked a good distance from him. I will agree with that, so I don't know, the actions of them having a good time inside their vehicle. He just got new cameras and stuff like that. Cop Cop ended up following him down the street, pulling him over because of it. But this example for myself is just like Florida and me being bothered. And there's even more than that, but one major incident where the cops pulled up in a parking lot across the street from where I was at. I was homeless and basically hiking around, but I would say homeless. And these, while I was being gang stalked, these guys every night, every day would just stalk me. But even every night, mess with me in my sleep, as they still do to this day. Anyhow, they was parked across the street at another shopping center, and they was trying to make out that they had a freedom right to be doing what they're doing. And the cop asked them, "I smell pot," and they played some of this auditing stuff, like auditing America, that you don't have a right to search and seizure and all that. They know their stuff pretty well. They played their own book type of situation, and the cop didn't do as much as what I thought he was going to do because I could see him across the road while they was still trying to. And the cop told him to stop. It would be harassment that they would be investigating some more later on. Much less watch. Will be watching their actions to see what they do after they was told to leave. They argued that they didn't have a reason to leave. The cop doesn't have a reason to tell them to leave. Anyways, they was in here. It's the same people that's living around me right now. Exact same characteristics. It's the same people because of the insinuations that they made in Florida, identifying themselves and basically doing the intimidating. What you gonna do about it? Anyhow, with all this rambling going on that I'm doing here, they was shouting across the street and all this stuff, and hey, we know our rights, our ways, and the cop couldn't do much to him except for ask him to leave. They denied the ability to leave, so he said, "Fine, I'll sit here and watch you guys." Um, and then later on, they was pulling investigations, like I've talked about, and there was several people that was either taken to jail or and further investigating deeper because they had out of state IDs with the same state ID I had at the time, so it made point that they're stalking. That would be interstate stalking. Cops sometimes do not understand even the law that they're supposed to, which is like the video on targetofunlawfulacts.com, to where they know the law themselves and they couldn't enforce what interstate stalking was. Maybe they didn't have enough evidence, but I figure a good quick effect to it, especially with questioning and telling them, the people that was present, that they didn't feel that my safety was safe. But I have to wonder, am I in the right, whatnot, fully by law? Or is it really, I don't want to subject some type of wrongness and be saying, hey, I'm the same way, if a cop stops me, I don't want to be illegitimately told wrong and ordered wrong or anything like that. But not protecting those who were involved with it. This is a prime example of what I was looking for, and I do believe in Florida there was things that were done, but it was delayed reaction. Investigation had to take place because the officers didn't know what they was doing at the time. So delayed reaction isn't like the same incident. We're talking a couple of days later, and then which would turn into a harsher investigation or a more heads up that what these people are doing is illegal for sure, and then pitting a whole team of cops or a whole situation together um, to profile the people who are profiling gang stalking me. It's so hard with the homeless person to deal with because they lose paperwork, such as myself, to keep up with them. They don't have an address, they don't have a phone number. I didn't have a cell phone back then, so the cops couldn't call me up and say, hey, we feel you're in danger, this is what we want. We want you to come in and sit down. It's happened before. Or we want you to come meet us up, we're up here at the shopping center or whatnot, and we want to discuss the situations going on with you and these people and what they're doing to see if we can't, make some arrests and stuff like that. But anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and stop rambling and continue with the reason why I have this video on this situation. If you listen to it, this is prime example of some states may not be that way, some cities may not be that way, it may not be that way across all of America. This is in Ontario, Canada is what I take it as. But at the same time, I do believe it does consist of something that is lawful. Especially, like, one little bit more rambling here. If I get ticked off and I do shout out now, or shout something back, oh, well, we'll hold you to it because that's illegal. If you don't prove it against us, we will all tell on you, and then we have witnesses and you don't, type of situation. But anyways, if it can be held against me, why isn't it held against them, much less being in a group? What kind of intimidation? How would you feel 5 to 6 cars full of people, even 4 cars full of people? Well, I'll take away the smell of marijuana, even though down in Florida State back in them days, that shit was highly illegal. And group, not just the cars themselves, not a driver, but each car having 3 to 4 people in it. That's not gang stalking? But hey, they couldn't at the moment with the cop. I'm not sure if he was actually acting legitimately for myself, but it seemed like it. But they had the legitimate backup of they don't have a reason, so they can't request. Which is, if you look at these Auditing of America, literally the name itself on YouTube, and the other auditors, they go in and enforce stuff like that. If the cops can't enforce it, they don't have a right. It is technically corruption and misconduction if they try to enforce something that is not enforceable. But in my situation, it was for my own safety, and there was other things that went on later on and a little bit before that they realized I was being gangland stalked, much less on top. It's complex to where there's other situations going on, even law enforcement trying to persuade other law enforcement. And I'll jump one more rambling. Arizona, I've explained it in other videos. Police investigating police and having me report back to those detectives of any police officer that I seen that I felt could be profiling wrongfully myself, watching me, or anything else, due to cartel business and cartels in Mexico paying the cops, possibly doing harm. But even if it ain't just cartel, that type of business and contact with causing cops to go rogue, corrupt, and be on a payroll, which would help solve the problem. If they're illegally watching me, then they need to figure out why. If it isn't just because it's normal payroll from a cartel or whatever corrupt crime, then it would also be heightened for myself that they was targeting me, personally targeting me. So it'd be harsher criminal charges rather than just a few internal, write-offs that you ain't doing your job right, you need to go back to school, or you'll be on suspension. No, this turned into criminal charges against that law enforcement. Anyways, I'm going to play this video. Sorry about the rambling. Getting to the point, listen to what the cop says. Not that I fully agree with it in one sense, but I guess I do in the other.
In a public area, yelling and screaming. Okay. There is a criminal offense for that. It's called causing a disturbance by shouting. Okay.
But I just asked you how you're doing.
You were shouting at me from another parking lot.
Right on.
Get your hands out of your pockets, please. Thank you. I'm in one parking lot. You're in another parking lot over. Upwards of 50 to 60 feet away from me. You're shouting in a public area. That is a criminal offense. Okay? I'm going to caution you for that. Okay? I'm also going to advise you, don't be doing things like that.
Right on.
I got a feeling I know why you're doing it.
Why am I doing it?
Okay? I have my ideas, okay?
Is that why you told me to fuck you?
Nobody told you to. I'm not even going to use the word, okay?
Right.
No one said that to you.
Okay.
You're delusional. I'm
Must
assuming.
be all the pot.
I don't know. Do you have any pot on you?
Nope.
Do you smoke pot?
Sometimes.
Okay, well that's nice. It's a nice way to enjoy your time off, things like that, when you're not customizing or photographing or whatever you do. So that's nice. Whatever you like to do, right? So, again, like I say, can be a criminal offense. And again, there's lots of people around who might interpret someone shouting. You never know. They might call and say, "Holy geez, someone's been abducted. Someone's been hit by a car." So you have to understand your actions have unintended consequences. Do you understand that? Okay. So I don't know what it's like in Inwood, but like here in Sarnia, right? Like this is the kind of calls that we get. Somebody might say, "Holy jeez, you're in the parking lot, people are screaming, and there's some man off. We don't know what's going on."
So nobody did that, boss.
For your future consideration.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's your paperwork back, and you guys have a nice day.
Right on, man.
See? And that's what I'm saying. How the hell are these other people, the gang stalkers, private cars, on their own, not in uniform, even if they're off-duty police officers, getting away and committing the things that they commit without law enforcement intervening? Because there's also corrupt law enforcement, stigmation, and just targeting from law enforcement. And it was said in New York City for myself a couple of days ago, as the way I'll put it, when I was in New York City, that is law enforcement, and tons of people keep saying, I'm talking good of law enforcement, there is bad of law enforcement, like I said. Major investigations because somebody keeps abusing power. And that isn't just in one place. That's not just in Columbus, Ohio here. It's not just in New York City. They're intentionally stalking with that abuse of power, the knowledge and the intelligence that they've learned, and utilizing it as leverage and intimidation, even if they're not employed at the moment. Like in Florida, if they was a cop in Colorado Springs, they quit, did whatever, just so they could stalk me or be part of the group that was stalking me. They still have the police training intelligence and was utilizing that. We know our stuff, we know internal works, and we know how to sabotage, set up, and screw you over. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and quit rambling on this video, but I'm just saying, if they can get away with it, they know better. They utilize strings to pull and pit me in life-threatening danger. And now these days, even though that was tons of time ago in Florida and multitudes of other states, but one major situation, it was the Florida state situation, because the same people that was associated with that are right here across the street from me in Columbus, Ohio. But nothing was ever done to those people completely. Not at that moment in that certain time. But anyways, I'm finishing this video, I guess. Kinda coincides with what I've been trying to write out lately. And the assaults that happened in Florida, psychological, emotional, and physical. The intimidation of being jumped, and they're doing the same thing now. All of a sudden, I started doing a report back, and I started putting things on the internet, and I started writing it down inside the house without even posting it electronically or any other way, and they're picking up on it somehow. And hey, if you tell, we'll beat you up. If you do this, hush hush. We got, how much power we have, what's going on in the community, that nobody is accepting you, and we caused your life to be ruined. You can't do nothing to us, you're a pussy. And this is the things they are saying to me. Intimidation, you don't have any systematical, we'll work you over 10 times harder. I'm done. Hopefully somebody watches this and understands what I'm saying. targetofunlawfulacts.com. Peace.